Hey folks, I'm Father Benjamin Gildas, and I am the rector of Incarnation Holy Sacrament Episcopal Church in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. This video is an explanation of how to use our Palm Sunday liturgy for home worship in the year 2020. Thanks for joining us as we begin our worship for Holy Week with the rituals appointed for Palm Sunday, Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, and the Great Vigil of Easter, the Easter Vigil, or the earliest morning prayers on Easter morning. We'll also be including for you a Holy Saturday liturgy for you to pray. We call those 3 days of Easter, Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, and the Great Vigil, the Holy Triduum, the sacred 3 days of Easter. And we're providing you liturgies to pray those at home this year. In this video series, we're also going to be talking about the significance of each of these most important days of the Christian calendar. Truly, there is no more important time in the church year than Holy Week and Easter, when we commemorate the last days before the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus. As I said, Holy Week begins with Palm Sunday. It's the day that we remember Jesus coming to Bethphage and then to Jerusalem in the week that he was crucified. We are reminded of how some of those gathered, who the gospel reading refers to as the crowds, incorrectly expected Jesus to be the Messiah and save them from Roman occupation. Their shouts of Hosanna were cries to be saved by a militant leader to bring revolution and restore their independent monarchy in the legacy of King David. In the story of Holy Week, we learn that what transpired in Jerusalem defied those expectations in Jesus' trial, crucifixion, and resurrection as presented in the Gospels. Palm Sunday is only properly kept if we are remembering that the messiahship of Jesus, claimed after his resurrection by his followers, was not what was expected, that Jesus did not enter Jerusalem as a triumphant king. Instead, he walked the way of the cross, allowing himself to be unjustly tried and crucified in the greatest tragedy that the world has ever known. And 3 days later, he rose again from the dead, defeating death by death and our enemies of the devil, sin, and death forever. Now today, you may wish to say these prayers for Palm Sunday at your home sacred space or home altar that you've created, using our how-to video, How to Create a Home Sacred Space. You may wish to place a palm branch or another branch or some sort of leaf or greenery on your home sacred space, your home altar, in order to remember the actions of the crowd on this day. But if so, do so remembering that the crowds in the reading were incorrect in their suppositions that Jesus was coming to be their king, their Messiah. The gospel does not condone their actions, and we do not emulate them because they were right, but as a reminder of the people's expectations of who Jesus would be, in order to remember who he truly was and what he accomplished there in God's plan of salvation. We are not called to emulate the crowds. We are called to emulate Jesus. We're called to walk the way of the cross with him. And so I invite you this Holy Week to walk the way of the cross with us at IHS Episcopal Church in Drexel Hill and with the church around the world, using these home worship resources, and to worship with your family or with those with whom you live, or worshiping alone. You may worship at a home sacred space, a home altar, or wherever is most convenient for you. Now, the worship for today is easy to follow. Read the introduction for the day. That will teach you how to use the worship materials. You might want to designate someone to be your presider, or you could divide the parts out as you go along. If you're going to use music, cue those songs up on YouTube or Spotify or whatever other music player you're going to use, but we've given you some YouTube links in the document. Cue those up beforehand so that those are ready to go. Choose one person who will read the gospel reading in this Palm Sunday liturgy, the story of the Palms. The worship begins with the line, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord," said by the presider. The parts in bold are meant to be read by all. Now, may your Palm Sunday be blessed by your prayer and your worship. Of course, we are all lamenting that worshiping for Holy Week this year, we are separate physically from one another. But we are united in our prayer and in our worship, just as we are united by Jesus in our baptism as one body in him. May you experience the fullness of that grace in your home worship this Holy Week. Blessings to you. Thanks for joining me, Father Benjamin Gildas, and we will see you on Maundy Thursday as our worship continues.